Some places don't just fade with time, they linger. Their silence breathes, their shadows remember. The old railway platforms, the empty carriages, they're not just bricks and steel. They're witnesses to stories that never really ended. Tonight, we return to one of those places where the lights go out and the stories wake up. On to our today's story. My name is Noah, and my one true vice, my only sin, is graffiti. Those who don't know about graffiti is writing or drawings that have been scribbled, scratched, or painted, most often illegally, on a wall or other surface in a public place. It's my act of worship, my middle finger to the mundane. I seek out those forgotten dead spaces the world has left behind, empty buildings, rusted-out factories, and most of all, old decommissioned train carriages. Tagging them with my colours is my way of screaming, "Look, I'm alive, I was here." It's a crime, I know. In the eyes of the law, I'm a vandal, a nuisance. But when the mist from the spray can hits the metal and the dragon I've conjured starts breathing on the wall, it feels like I've given a soul to something lifeless. On this lonely path, I have only one mate, Harry. He's my wingman, my lookout, and my conscience all in one. While I'm lost in the colours, he stands guard in the darkness, eyes peeled, knowing the price for our art could be a stint behind bars. It was a Saturday night, the ache of a week's graft still deep in our bones. Our target was an old railway yard on the edge of the city, a place where time had simply given up. The train carriages sat there, weathering the decades. We'd done our homework. No one was meant to come by until Monday. We were two hunters buzzing for our fix. The silence was proper heavy. Every footstep crunched on the gravel, echoing like a gunshot. We got to the first carriage and cracked open our kit. With the first hiss of the spray can, my logo, a blazing, fire-breathing dragon, began to materialize on the wall. 5 minutes. That's all it took. I stepped back to look at my work. A grin spread across my face. "I'm just too talented," I said, catching Harry's eye. On the second carriage, we did a wobbly, anarchic zigzag. We were chuffed. The creative itch inside us was growing. "Go on then, let's do another," I said, buzzing. This night doesn't feel finished. But as we moved towards the third carriage, the one most isolated and dark of the lot, a sudden chill shot down my spine. The hairs on my arms stood up. This wasn't your standard creeps. This was a deep, proper, eerie feeling, like unseen eyes were boring into us from the darkness, watching our every move. "Harry," my voice wavered, "you feeling that? This spot, the vibes are just off. Feels like we've barged into someone's private gaff." Harry, trying to play it cool as always, took a drag of his fag and said, "Nah, mate, don't get para. We've been to dodgier places than this. You do your thing. I've got the lookout. If anyone comes, we'll leg it." But my unease didn't fade. It deepened. I'd just raised the can when a sharp whistle cut through the air from behind us. Something zipped past my wrist and smacked against the carriage wall with a clatter. An empty spray can, lobbed with proper force. We both froze, our hearts in our mouths. "Who's there?" I yelled, my voice swallowed by the vast emptiness. The only answer was a poisonous, thick silence. Then another cane came, this one landing even closer. And then, from the deep gloom ahead, a gravelly, pissed-off voice rang out. "Piss off out of it!" My hands were slick with sweat. We were the trespassers, but there was another predator here. I fumbled for my phone with shaking hands. "We're here," I started recording, my voice hesitant. And someone's having us on. We don't know." That's when another sound came. But this wasn't a can. This was a sharp cracking sound that ripped through the night silence. A gunshot. That was the moment our bravado shattered completely. The world we knew turned upside down. We ran. Our lungs were burning, hearts hammering in our ears. We didn't look back. We only stopped when our lungs were fit to burst and we were sure we were miles from that God-forsaken place. The whole week we were in a proper funk. Who was it? A security guard? The old Bill? But the old Bill don't fire warning shots. A ghost? Ghosts don't chuck empty cans. A nasty thought started nagging at me. What if it was someone like us, but using this derelict spot for a far darker purpose? In the end, a week later, on a bright afternoon, we went back. In the name of research, of facing our fear. Even in the sunlight, the place held on to its bleak, menacing aura. The carriages were still there, now just sitting in apathy. But on the carriage where I'd painted my dragon, right in the middle of my work, was a large, brutal red cross. This was no ghost. This was the work of a man, a warning, a threat, or perhaps a target had been marked. We started searching the carriages, our footsteps cautious. The first two were almost empty, just dust and a few broken bits and bobs. But when we climbed into the third carriage, the one where it all kicked off, a foul, sharp, acrid smell hit us and made us gag. It was a bleach-like stench, but with something else underneath, a hint of something rotten, like meat and earth, as if someone had doused the place in powerful chemicals to scrub something away. And there, in the middle of the carriage, was an old, grimy wooden chair. Its legs were shackled with thick, rusted chains, while more chains lay coiled on the floor as if they'd been hurriedly unlocked. I couldn't stand being in there for a second longer. The whole scene looked like a bloody torture chamber. I glanced back anxiously. No one there. Still, I slammed the heavy iron door shut with a crash that echoed through the silence. And then, a slow, deliberate scrape, like someone dragging a heavy weight. And then, tap, tap, tap. Those same footsteps, clear, distinct, and moving towards us. The sounds were just as terrifying in the daylight. Our courage failed us. We ran again, this time knowing that what we'd stumbled upon was far more serious than a simple ghost story. After that night, my hands never touched a spray can again. I said goodbye to my art. Because we were just committing a petty crime, leaving a mark. But we had wandered into a place where someone else was playing a much darker, bloodier game. A game that involved erasing marks, disposing of evidence, and chaining prisoners to chairs. Even now, years later, when the night is deep and a shudder runs through the air outside, the same questions start circling in my mind. Who was it trying to scare us off? Was it the owner of the place? Or was he a sinner like us, hiding a much greater sin? Why did he fire that shot? To kill us, or just to warn us? And if to warn us, why? Didn't he want us near that specific carriage? What was the deal with the chair and chains? Who had been held there? And were they alive or dead? And most sickening of all, what was the secret of that bleach smell? Was it just some strong cleaner or something used to dissolve other things? Every now and then I scour the local rags, looking for a story about a missing person, an unsolved murder that could be linked to that yard. But I never find a thing. Perhaps that secret is buried forever in the darkness of that derelict station, locked in the belly of those rusted carriages. Or perhaps that someone is still out there, waiting for his next victim, safe in the knowledge that no one is brave enough to expose his hidden savagery. And me, Noah, who once played with colors, now just live my life in the grays, forever haunted by the fear that one day A red cross might be painted on the final page of my life, too.